Hi. I just want to read this paper that they make you sign when you get the United Health Care Insurance or when you go to the doctors these days. It's the Health Information Policy. When does the privacy rule allow covered entitles to disclose protected health information to law enforcement officers? Okay, the policy rule is balanced to protect individual privacy while allowing important law enforcement functions to continue. This rule permits covers entitles. So if you cover they're entitled to disclose protective uh, health information (PHI) to law enforcement officer without the individual written authorized or under specific circumstances submitted below. For the complete understanding of these conditions requiring for these disclosures, please review the exact regulatory text at the uh, cited provided disclosed to law enforcement. Okay, so basically, here's the first one. To comply with the court order or court order warrant, subpoena, summons issued to a judicial officer or a grand jury subpoena. The rules recognize that the legal process in obtaining a court order and the security of a grand jury process provided protection for the individual privacy. So you got that part. And then, so that's 45 CFR 164.512 F1 II, whatever, A, B. But I should probably say the brackets with it. To respond to the administration requests, such as the administration subpoena or investigation demands or other written requests for a law enforcement officer, because of an administrative request may be made without judicial involvement. The rules require that all administrative requests to include or to be complied by a written statement that information requests relieve the material specific and limited in scope and that identification information cannot be used. So anyway, when you go on down to respond to the request of the FIFA or the PIA for purposes of identifying the local or suspected felony, material witness, or missing person, but the coverage entitled must be limited and disclosed, and the FIFA and the names of the address, date, place, birth, social security number, AB blood type, and RT factors, type of injury, date, time, treatment date, time of death, disclosure of distinguishing physical characteristics, other information related to the identification, DNA, general records, body fluids, tissue type, samples analyzed cannot be disclosed under provision but may be disclosed to respond to a court order, warrant, or written administration. And then this is where you get to the quickie part. And that's the response to a FIFA for purpose identification or location. So basically, and it's all in the interpretation, right? This is limited information may be reported to law enforcement about the suspicious preparation of a crime. Report is made by a victim who is a member of covered entitled workforce to identify, apprehend an individual who has limited participation in a violent crime that the coverage entitles responsibility believes may have caused serious physical harm to a victim, providing that the administration was not made on the course of the basis of the individual requesting therapy, counsel, treatment related to possibility to commit this type of violence. In response to the request for FIPA about the victim of the crime, if because of emergency or the person incapability, the individual cannot agree, cover, entitle may disclose. Well, I read somewhere where it says that the judge would automatically, this is the part I don't like, or they have a judge that would automatically, um, see the judge could automatically without you knowing, well, we'll continue, but, report, etc., is not intended to use it against the victim, indeed, determine whether another person broke the law. The investigation would be material and advisor affected by waiting until the victim could agree the covering title believes the professional judgment is doing so in the best interests of the individual whose information with child abuse victim is adult. Let's see, we're here at the Type and Right Press. There's a thing in here what says something about the judge. Let's see, complete with a court order or a court order warrant, subpoena. Oh, this is the part where they don't have to let you know that they're going to do that. See, because they have to comply with a court order or court order warrant, a subpoena, summons issued by a judge or a grand jury subpoena. This will recognize that the legal process obtained by a court order, the security that the grand process provided to the individual information. There was a part here such as the administration subpoena, investigation demands, or another written request for law enforcement officers to become the administration request may be made without jurisdiction involvement. The rule requiring administrative requests to include or to comply by a written statement that their information request is related to materials and is limited to the scope to be identified. There's a part in here where they said they don't have to let you know. But anyway, I guess I probably should just read the whole thing. There's a part in here where they're stating they don't have to, they can do it without, oh, here it is. There's more than one part. But basically, they could go ahead and subpoena your records and everything. Here it is. The health information may disclose to law enforcement agency without your permission to support government adult inspections to facility logs, enforcement investigation, and to comply with government mandates report. So right here, okay, it was just on a different paper. So like this paper here states that they cannot do it because you have privacy rights. So this paper here basically saying unless you already broke a law, and it's been court ordered by a judge. But this one, when you come over here, this notice describes how medical information about you may be used and disclosed and how you can get access to this information. Right here it says law enforcement. Your health information may be disclosed to law enforcement agency without your permission to support government audits and inspection. I'm sorry, I messed it up the first time. Good thing I have glasses. To facilitate law enforcement and to comply. So basically, and then it goes on. And so basically, they're saying here that your constitutional right to privacy and your Fourth Amendment right is null and void because they could go ahead without your permission. And that's one of the reasons why lately I had to, I hadn't been able to keep the certain doctors because, I had the, cause like I don't have a car, so the only place I do go is to the doctor or to the pharmacy. So I had, I guess when once they do that, then it's I mean, that's just the way it is, and I understand that um in some ways that the propaganda is such that black people are in a way in a self degrading, self humiliating, self hate, and just by the nature of the propaganda, um, by by what the schools are offering them, by how they get treated in the jails, how when these boys were coming out of juvenile, they were so badly abused sexually and physically that it's very sad, and that we have policies that actually contradicts our constitutional and our civil rights. So and and the problem with it is that in our neighborhood here, we do have a big health problem, and um, um, and it's escalated through the jail prison because everybody knows like that uh, when we all looked at Oz and we looked at all these other shows where they were showing uh, Shemshack Redemption, where they were showing the devastation and the misjustice of what's going on in the jails, either with the corruption, the dehumanization of the jailers towards the inmates, as the embezzlement, uh, the uh, the looking the other way to rape and using rape and violence is a way to keep hostilities and chaos going on there, so they can keep their illicit, illegal contraband, going on, be it drugs, food, or whatnot. So, whether it's just too out of control, we can't handle it. It's easy for that one person who, you know, to walk down there and while everybody's looking the other way, old magician trick. So we see this chaos and we see this sort of narcissistic behavior with the police in all aspects. And it is being encouraged by our laws and our politics that are geared uh, in a coded way to take away our civil rights, our constitutional rights. And I think that, I think it's really it's too easy for that type of propaganda. Like you think, well, how do people go off to ISIS? And you can look at the police behavior. Is when you're not willing to learn from your mistakes. It's when you're willing to think that that your power is that you can whoop a 2-year-old, or that makes you teach this child something, uh, but but the only thing you don't want to recognize that it is teaching is that hitting. So we have a very uh, double binding, hypocritical, violent, narcissistic type of system. And I think that you can see a lot of it in the Republicans and the GOP's way of thinking that, we have to get rid of Social Security, even though, like, the police and everybody else is busy playing into it. But as long as the police could have, like, take away somebody's rights, and I'm only saying it because I actually hadn't been able to get a primary doctor care, and I tried to get a primary doctor care, and with United Healthcare, they have a ride service where you get a free ride, right? So, like, this guy's bragging pretty much like, oh, well, we're the same as the police, and he's crossing over the yellow line. I know he's trying to scare me and fuck with me, but he also doesn't show any respect or regards for the other people, and it was rush hour time because it was in the morning, and it was early, and, there's construction in and out, and he's going very, very fast, and I'm still 20 minutes late. First, he was going very, very slow. So, he was like intentionally, all his behavior is to agitate and show a lot of hostility, and at the same time, he wants to flirt. So, and I see that I can understand that, yeah, it's since the day I came out of my mom's vagina that the way they have, communicated with me was like hitting. If I touch something they didn't like, they hit me. I see them if the baby's crying, hitting them. I don't see any of these kids getting taken away from these parents and they're up in there. I don't see them protecting the children. But anyway, it's more acceptable to beat on kids. But once these kids get a bit older and that same behavior that was given to them, they start projecting that onto other people, and it's a very violent society that we have here. We have a very hopeless society. I don't know anybody that didn't graduate from Mitchell High that's my age, right? That is not basically really in the same situation. We're poor. So I can see with the way that the propaganda is going, that with the pyramid, let's just say there's 13 corporations that are benefiting from black self-hate and self-destruction through our double-binding hypocritical ways of whooping our kids And the policeman was so overly sick. I said, he goes, what were you watching on? I said, physics. He goes, oh, you got physical? I'm like, he goes, and I'm like, no. He goes, well, what's physics? I'm like, it's the study of everything. Oh, like a figure, like somebody's figure. And I was like, okay, so he's, he's not, he can't, like, if he was intelligent, he would know that's not funny because it's not even like that's encouraged. I mean, and then they instantly get mad at you because you're like, no, like I said, it's the study of everything, you know. And my mind, when I go to everything, it doesn't automatically like theirs just go to sex, you know. The only thing they can talk about is Jesus, sex, and sports. Anything other than that, if you want to talk about climate change or anything else, there's always a hidden agenda. So he's gonna give me his fucking phone number after he done told me he was married, and and the more you like, I'm not interested. The more pissed off they get, and the more they're like, and so you know in your mind that they have that with that mother, that first mother they had, or whoever their mother was that was whooping them, that they have that idea of pain causing somebody discomfort or injury or suffering or bullying them is the way of showing love. But the way I was brought up, I always never saw that. I saw somebody that caused me pain and someone I didn't want to be around. And I choose not to be around people that intentionally cause pain and suffering for no alternative reason except for it does cause them some jollies. But the worst part about it is they could dish it out, but they can't take it. And that's another thing way I was brought up, tit for tat. If you can dish it out, you have to be able to take it. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be playing that punch on the shoulder, you got two type of people. You got that one, you punch them, they punch you, and you're like, cool, you got the other one, they punch them, the other one punch them, then the other one punch that one a little harder back, and then they start fighting. And like they ain't the cool one, because like if they just turn around after we through, and they turn around and throw another blow, it's tit for tat. So that's the type of people they are. They were brought up as whooping as their punishment and their answers to how their parents, was teaching them how to behave in society. And so now they're very violent psychopaths that they get off on self destruction and destroying, and they have a lot of self hate, like their hair. I just policeman yelled at me across the street in uniform talking about your hair. Not professional. So and that one that drove me was crossing over the line. And when I mentioned something about it, I'm like, well, there's actually police cars up ahead. I'm like, there's police cars up ahead. Oh yeah, well we the same. We got the same tag. So I'm like, oh, okay. So in a sense, you really don't have to have any self-respect. And I think that's very sad. You don't have respect for the other people on the road. Even if you're trying to disrespect me, there's other people on the road. The world doesn't revolve around them. They're like it's like being in backwards, Bill. It's like being 180 out, and it's like there's no logic. It's just chaos. And that I see that the black community is destroying themselves. But let it be known, Republicans, they're not. They're so ingrained in the culture, and America is that when we go, we're going to take 10 of you for each one of us. Because that's how it was always said to me. That's the way it was written. The police are doing a treason act when it comes to enforcing our Constitution and our civil rights.